Ever since Vivo announced their partnership with Zeiss, the famed camera lens maker from Germany, I've been curious to see what their new smartphones would bring in terms of mobile photography. Now we've had the Vivo X60 with us for about a week now, so it's time to see what the fuss is all about. Anyway, let's get to unboxing this smartphone. So here it is. This is the box for the Vivo X60, and you can already see a subtle, classy, but still a flex about their partnership with Zeiss. A bit of a disclaimer here, this was sent to Dewey, one of our editors on the website, for the full review, so if things don't seem as pristine while I open this box, don't worry, it won't be that way when you buy your own. Now, first things first, you have the phone itself. This is the Vivo X60 in the shimmering blue color variant, and yes, I do have to hold it this way because it does shine and shimmer so much that my camera kind of has trouble focusing on this smartphone. But it does look very pretty, but we have to set it aside for now. Lifting up this little partition will reveal all the accessories that come with the phone, nicely laid out for you to enjoy. You have a case. It's not your regular jelly case, it's hard plastic that's frosted with cutouts for the ports, of course. Aside from that, you have the SIM ejector pin and documents that are bundled together. And below that, you have the USB-C cable. Now, moving on to the stuff on the right side of the box, you have Vivo's Flash Charge 2.0 charging brick that's at 33 watts. You also have a pair of earphones that are in-ear. It also comes with extra tips, which I kind of forgot to show you guys. And lastly, a USB-C to 3.5mm adapter because, spoiler alert, that's really not a spoiler anymore. There's no headphone jack on this device. Anyway, let's have a closer look at the phone itself. Now, the first thing that you might have noticed about the Vivo X60 is that it kind of looks a lot like the Vivo X50 Pro. Personally, I don't think that's a bad thing since we did love the design of that device. It's sleek and elegant with a ton of character to make it stand out. It is, of course, made out of glass, but the frame is plastic, but it feels solid in the hand, and I don't think I would have even noticed if it wasn't brought up in my conversations with the team when we were talking about this phone. So you might have noticed that the wife is helping me out with some of the B-roll in this video, so let's see what she thinks about the design of the X60.
I love the design. In terms of color, I love the base bluish silvery look, and when light hits it, there's this rainbow effect, which is so my aesthetic. And in terms of the feel, I love how it feels like velvet, so it's nice and even soft to the touch, if that even makes sense, and it doesn't, leave fingerprints even if I use a lot of lotion. Kasama ba yung weight? Kasi ang gaan niya, nagulat ako.
Now, one of the must-haves for me when choosing a mobile phone is a great display, and thankfully the Vivo X60 does have a pretty fantastic one. It measures in at 6.56 inches, has full HD plus resolution, so that's 1080 by 2376 pixels if you want to be specific, but the important bit here is that they use an AMOLED panel, which also has all the features you would want. So that includes HDR10 Plus support and Widevine L1 certification for a solid experience when watching Netflix on this phone, but it also has a refresh rate of 120 Hz, so navigating through it is insanely smooth. So the screen definitely gets a thumbs up from me, but if there's one thing I would change with the whole AV experience with the Vivo X60 is that I wish it had stereo speakers. Now I know this is all about taking photos, but that would have been a big plus. Now let's talk about its overall performance. Under the hood of this smartphone is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 870 processor, 12GB of RAM, and 256GB of storage, which is a fantastic package. Now, I know right now the cream of the crop processor is the Snapdragon 888, but hear me out. The 870 isn't bad at all. It is a huge jump from the 730 that was on the X50, and looking at the scores on Geekbench, it does outperform the 888 in single-core and multi-core scores, but it is a different story for the Compute Benchmark and PC Mark Work 2.0 as well. Unfortunately, for some reason, we were unable to get numbers from Gamebench to give you guys some metrics on the games we typically feature on our gaming reviews, but it's been incredibly smooth sailing for me when playing Call of Duty. Now, you guys know that I don't play Genshin Impact, but Dewey sent over some footage of him playing the game and says he was able to achieve really stable frame rates at the highest settings without the phone getting hot at all. So while photography is definitely the main thrust for Vivo right now, if you're a gamer, there's something here for you too. Speaking of photography, let's dive right in because I'm pretty sure that most of you are here to see some camera samples, but let's lay down some specs first. For taking selfies, we've got a 32 megapixel front camera at an aperture of f2.45, and seeing as Vivo was known for their selfie shooters back in the day, we're generally happy with the snaps we've taken so far, and I know that Leia has had some fun with the pose feature that gives you suggestions for, well, poses if you want to break away from the ones you usually use for selfies. But of course, you're here to see if the Zeiss partnership made a difference when it comes to the snap from the rear cameras, which by the way consists of two 13 megapixel cameras, one ultra wide and one telephoto, and of course the main attraction, which is a 48 megapixel camera with 5-axis optical image stabilization. The results from the rear cameras are an improvement from the previous model, and something that we noticed and I absolutely love is that the white balance is consistent all throughout those three cameras. Of course, you're getting a ton of detail, and I like it that they kind of scaled back with the post-processing here, but where you see the biggest difference is in low light, where there's noticeably less ghosting and flaring, and of course that's thanks to the Zeiss T coating. Now, something that you can plainly see on the camera array is the Zeiss Vario Tessar branding. It's something I want to confirm with Vivo Philippines if they are indeed using Zeiss lenses on the X60 already, or if it's just a coating, but this partnership is already bearing some fruits when it comes to mobile photography. Now when it comes to the video side of things, footage looks pretty sweet in 4K 30 FPS with the help of OIS and EIS magic as well. You can also shoot in 4K 60, but you do lose stabilization here, so keep that in mind. So this video is not sponsored by Vivo. Let me repeat that. This is not sponsored by Vivo, but they did ask me if I could touch a bit on their partnership with Zeiss, so I will oblige a little bit. Now, from what I know, this is not a one and done deal. This is a long-term partnership between the two brands. So everything that we're seeing on the X60 Pro and the other variants of this device, I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm excited to see what crazy things they can come up with this partnership. So we are making a standalone video for the cameras on the Vivo X60, well, because it deserves it, and they packed this phone with a lot of features. So if that's something you want to see, make sure you're subbed to the channel. Now, before I end this video, I almost forgot, let's talk about battery life. Now, we're only getting a 4,300 milliamp hour battery with this device, and typically you would think that with a refresh rate of 120 Hz, this phone isn't going to last very long, but thankfully, the Snapdragon 870 looks to be an extremely efficient processor. This device lasted me a day and a half, and it clocked in at around 15 hours with our video loop test, which isn't bad given that capacity. Of course, mileage may vary. Now comes the tricky bit, because as much as I would love to tell you the price for the Vivo X60, they haven't disclosed it to us as of recording this video. So this review is kind of in a vacuum. One thing that I really hope is that Vivo Philippines prices the X60 just right, because it is a great smartphone, not just for mobile photography, it's actually a great package. So Vivo Philippines, please price this correctly so that it's a compelling choice for your customers. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for dropping by and spending a few minutes with me. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up, sub to the channel, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. If you have any questions or just want to share your thoughts on the Vivo X60, leave them down below and I'll try my best to get to them as soon as I can. For all the latest in tech, head to Unbox PH, and of course follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and we now have a podcast on Spotify. So see you guys there. My name is Tito James. Peace, God bless, See you guys next time, and of course, stay safe.